Hi everybody, my name is Sonia Laterio and this is a lesson on area. I geared this for a younger group, maybe like third, fourth grade. Really like third grade. I think it would work. Okay, so let me get started. Class, everyone has the notes. Make sure you have your pencil, have a highlighter. That could probably help us. And so today we're going to be learning about area and what that is. But before we do that, let's review perimeter. We learned that yesterday. So perimeter is measuring the distance around the outside of a shape. So we're using addition to solve. We're adding all the sides of the shape. Now, for a square or a rectangle, you technically could use multiplication or addition. You can use multiplication. So let's just do a quick example. Say I have this square, and this side is 2 inches. This side is 2 inches. And we want to know what the perimeter is. Well, it's a square, so I know all sides are equal. So I could say all sides are 2 inches, right? Okay, so if all sides are 2 inches, how many sides are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I technically could say 2 inches times 4 equals 8 inches. That would be my answer. That's one way of finding it. Or I can add all the sides. 2, 4, 6, 8. I still end up with 8. Okay, so that's perimeter, and it works the same for an irregular shape. Okay, so write in these numbers with me. Let's say this is 4 inches, this is 3 inches, this little guy right here is 1 inch, this one is 3 inches, and let's say this is 1 inch. Okay, so what would I do to solve this? Oh, we got to do this one right here. This is 1 inch right here too. So how many sides total do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to have 6 numbers to add. So let's start here. 1 inch plus 4 inch plus 3 inch plus 1 inch plus 1 inch plus 3 inch. And what is that going to equal? So 1 plus 4 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 inches in all. That is the perimeter of this shape. So that's all the way around. Okay? Now area is something different. Area, when we're talking about area, we're going to measure the space inside of a shape. And it's a two-dimensional shape, just like this up here, square, or this irregular shape. Okay, so when we measure area, we're measuring in square units. So when you get your answer and it's in inches or feet or meters, it's going to look like this: inches squared or feet squared or meters squared. And that's because we use multiplication to solve for area. Okay, so for squares and rectangles, the formula is length times the width. So you're going to have the length times the width. Okay, so now let's look at this here. You see this shape here? We want to know how many square units make up this shape. And this is what we mean by square units. You could take a shape and you could make little square units. And these squares, they can't be separate or one here and one there. They've got to be all in a row like an array. They've got to be lined up. Okay, and so when you can line up squares inside of a shape like this, you could count how many units, how many squares make up that shape. That's how we measure the inside of the shape. So how many square units are inside of this shape? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one is 4 square units. And let's say they were inches. Each one was an inch. There's an inch, there's an inch, there's an inch, there's an inch. Okay, so how many square units are here? 4 square units, but we could say 4 inches squared. Okay, so if we have our shape on top of a grid, we can count the shapes, no problem. But what if we have a shape that doesn't have that? So when that happens, we're going to be using this formula. This is a formula for rectangles or squares. Okay, so say we have a square like this. And let's say this one is 2 feet, this side. And since this is a square, we could say all of them are the same. Okay, so here's our length, here's our width. It's a square, so really they're all the same, but if it was a rectangle, we'd have our length and our width. And what would we do? We would multiply the length and the width. Okay, so you would go 2 feet times 2 feet. Okay, so then we do the multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, but now we have this feet. And when we multiply these 2 feet together, we need to make sure that we square them. Okay, so this one is 4 square feet. That's the same as saying we've got these 4 equal parts inside of this shape. Okay, now let's look at this irregular shape. How would we find, this one's tricky, how would we find the area of this shape here? Well, I would have to first divide this irregular shape into 2 shapes that I could use this formula for. So I can do something like this. I can make a little break right there. And now I have a rectangle and a square. So I have 2 shapes here now that I could use the formula for. Okay, so let's say this side right here is 4. And let's say this little guy right here is 1. And let's say this right here, this guy right here, let's say this guy is 3. And let's say this whole length right here is 4. Okay, so what if you got a problem like this? How would you solve this? Well, I would first want to solve for the rectangle. Then I would want to solve for the square. And then I'm going to add those 2 answers up because that's going to be the area inside here, this side, and the area inside here, this side. So let's do that. First, let's solve for the rectangle here. So what is our formula? Length times width. So here's our length, 4. Here's our width, 3. So we're going to take 4 times 3. Okay, let's just say that this is feet. We should have put that there too. We should have put that there. Okay, so we have 4 feet. Sorry, guys. Let's add this here so we have it right. 4 feet times our width, 3 feet. Because we're just finding the area of this right here. Okay, so 4 times 3, what is that? That's right, it's 12. Now I have feet, but I'm multiplying feet. So when I multiply, we're going to get feet squared. Okay, so that's this part. On the inside, it's 12 feet squared. All right, now let's find this little guy. This little guy's a square. Okay, and remember, a square, all the sides are equal. So if this side is 1, what is this guy going to be? You're right, that's going to be 1 also. Okay, so now all I got to do is I got to multiply my length times my width. Okay, so what is that going to be? 1 foot times 1 foot. You're right. What's 1 times 1? Going to give you 1. Okay, now we have our feet. Because we multiplied, feet times feet, there's 2 of them. We got to square it. Now we have our rectangle. Let's put that 1 foot in there, squared. Now we have our rectangle and we have the little square. So what do we do now? We got to add up those 2 sides to find the total space inside this shape. So 12 plus 1, 13, and it's feet squared. So that's how you solve for area.